We move on. Israel handed over the bodies of 15 Palestinians a day after Hamas returned the remains of an Israeli hostage. This, the latest, as part of a US-brokered ceasefire reached last month, whose first phase winds down even as violence continues. In Palestinian territories, the remains of two hostages, one Israeli and a Thai national, who were abducted in the October the 7th, 2023 Hamas-led attack on Israel that started the war, are still to be returned. The Israeli military said it had carried out another series of strikes against Hezbollah in the south of Lebanon this Thursday, exactly a year into the ceasefire with the militant group. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said Israeli aircraft launched a series of raids on Al-Mahmudiyah and Al-Jarmak in the Jazin area. Well, let's get some insight into the situation, especially the news that the talks in Cairo have stalled. These were the talks convened to talk about the second phase of the peace deal. We bring in Gilbert Achcar, who's Professor of International Relations at the SOAS and author of Gaza Catastrophe, the Genocide in World Historical Perspective. As always, Gilbert, thanks for joining us here in France 24. We appreciate your time. The talks, we understand, stalled in Cairo over this next phase of the peace plan. What's the insight you have?
Yes, good evening and thank you. Well, it's not surprising at all, actually, because this whole peace plan was a botched, completely botched peace plan from the start. The only concrete measure that the plan provided for was what happened until now. That is this a partial withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip in exchange for the liberation by Hamas of the last living hostages and the bodies of deceased hostages, and the same on the Israeli side. I mean, this exchange of prisoners, if you want, between both sides. But beyond that, that's where the problem started, and the so-called plan provided absolutely no clue for how it could be implemented. The key point is this international stabilization force that is supposed to be deployed in the area that from which the Israeli army withdrew, which is less than half the territory of the Gaza Strip. However, when at first the plan was announced, there were a number of states expressing that their readiness to join that force, but they expressed this willingness on the basis of a belief that Hamas was supportive of the plan, which is how it was sold at the beginning. And Hamas indeed proclaimed some kind of positive position on the Trump plan when it was first announced in October. However, now Hamas has changed position on this issue of disarming. It refuses to deliver its weapons to anything but an agreed upon Palestinian force. And that complicates a lot the matter. And therefore, all those states that had expressed their willingness to join that force have changed their mind, because they understand that this might mean being involved in a very thorny, very tricky situation where their troops would have to fight Palestinian combatants, and they are absolutely not willing to get into that.
Indeed. Nonetheless, ceasefire called October the 10th. Since then, there have been, well, into the hundreds of Palestinian deaths. It's hard to say that this has been anything like the success that Donald Trump has trumpeted.
Of course, and it's even much less the everlasting peace of millennia that he announced. I mean, I describe his peace plan as the most slapdash peace plan in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict. And we have now to add to it the most slapdash resolution in the history of UN Security Council resolutions, because the resolution, which was just support for the Trump plan, just repeated the same points, including, putting the Gaza Strip under the administration or the supervision of a so-called peace board headed by the U.S. president himself. I mean, there was never in the history of UN Security Council resolution such a bizarre kind of plan, if you want.
What would you say right now is the major obstacle between the region and peace? What are the things that immediately must be overcome in order to get there?
Well, I mean, we have seen a genocidal war occurring in Gaza, as now a vast majority of international organizations that are specialized in such issues and scholars specialized in such issues acknowledge. I mean, the genocidal character of what happened. And yet the army that perpetrated this genocidal war is still on the territory of Gaza. And it is given even by by the Trump plan, but even by this UN Security Council resolution that just confirmed the Trump plan. It is given a right of supervision over anything that happens in Gaza. So we are in a situation where peace is just a total illusion. There can be no peace under such conditions, except the peace of the victors, that is, some kind of order imposed on the population by force. But that is very far from peace, as we know.
Gilbert Achcar, we need to leave it there. I know there's so much more to say, but thank you for that insight into what is a very complex and continues to be a complex and deadly situation for so many people. Gilbert Achcar, Professor of International Relations at the School of Oriental and African Studies and author of Gaza Catastrophe, the Genocide in World Historical Perspective. Thank you, sir, for joining us here in France 24. We always appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It is time for us, thank you again, sir. It is time for us to take a very short break. After that, the news continues. Stay with us.